Welcome back. The details. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi inspected by plane the executive progress and construction workflow of the new administrative capital on Sunday. This came during the president's visit to the new capital to attend the Egyptian Economic Conference. Senior government officials, economists, intellectuals, and a number of businessmen participate in the conference. The conference called for by President el-Sisi earlier in September, seeking to draw up an economic roadmap for Egypt and to reach a common agenda on the country's economic priorities during the coming stage. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi inaugurated the three-day economic conference on Sunday in the new administrative capital, and in his speech in front of the attendees, the president asserted the necessity to take all measures to face repercussions of economic crises, whether in Egypt or the economic crises that are facing the whole world and having their negative impacts on the country.
President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi inaugurated this three-day economic conference, Egypt 2022, on Sunday in the new administrative capital. In his address to the first session, he said it was necessary to take measures to face economic crises in Egypt. He said crises in Egypt need deep measures and solutions, and local and foreign pressures draw need for strong and continuing public support. As Sisi said, Egyptians live on a small area of land, drawing the need for roads and access to ease movement. His suggestions for solutions are less than challenges, adding that sacrifices and concessions have to be offered. A number of economists and prominent figures are attending the event, which tackled the future of the Egyptian economy. As Sisi said, it was not possible to complete Al-Zohr natural gas field without drawing maritime borders, adding that the field saved the state $10 billion in monthly expenses. He said 40 cities added 10 trillion Egyptian pounds to the state accounts. As Sisi said, the state's administrative body was not ready to implement demanded reforms. He said that the national dialogue aims to open the way for different visions. The president said public reaction to reform pressures were a concern to decision makers and security institutions. The president said any delay in issuing reform decisions would have caused the state more hardship, and the state's capability was not enough to withstand tremendous crises, strifes, wars and terrorism. He said both the government and the people must shoulder current challenges. He said consciousness and awareness are important to diagnose the status faced the government to overcome the gap. The president said the state administrative body has been a crisis that has to be solved since 7 years. He said the economic reform cost was hiking every day.
Addressing the inaugural session of the Economic Conference Egypt 2022, Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli said the gathering aims to reach an economic roadmap for the state in the coming period and to boost the capabilities to face current challenges. Madbouli added that Egypt has overcome 5 economic crises since 2011, pointing out that its credit rating slid in 2011. The Premier, however, stated that the World Bank figures categorize Egypt within the highest in growth rates in the Middle East and Africa despite these crises. He reiterated that the country achieved the highest exporting rates before the Ukrainian crisis, reporting $25 billion of losses after the crisis began. In another context, Madbouli said the new administrative capital constructions were mere architectural designs in 2015 and reviewed achievements occurred in the field of roads network across the country. The Premier also affirmed that the state is working on developing all health insurance hospitals and added that Egypt turned from the highest in hepatitis C infections to 0 infections. Madbouli said that 5 million families are provided with medical care through the state's Takaful and Panorama program at a cost of 25 billion Egyptian pounds. Meanwhile, a documentary tackling the achievements of the Egyptian economy in the past 8 years was displayed during the inaugural session. A senior member of